try this again. I would like to welcome to the Str8Talk podcast, episode 50, the curtain call, some fantasy Pokemon fantasy booking featuring the Warden Matt Ritter. How's it going, Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
My favorite person to talk Pokemon with. My second favorite person in the whole world, the Will Gray, a chef by trade and a mark by choice. How's it going?
I'm great, Vince. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, considering I just finished working a 12-hour shift. I finished recording a podcast previously. I'm on my second podcast. I had some carne asada and some tacos earlier, so that's
Yo
pushing through.
también.
Yeah,
Serio?
Exactly.
Hey, Vince.
Yeah.
Who are we? Not you and me, but me and Will.
I don't know where you're trying to go with this.
See, I don't know if you've been watching the Creation Conversation, but Will and I are the DP bros.
The DP bros.
And when you're a DP bro, you're a DP bro for life.
Okay. For those of you that can't see, they just held up a can of Dr. Pepper. So
if you're not watching this, then either Vince fucked up and didn't put a video version out, or you're just not doing it right. You should definitely. I am sexy as fuck, and I need you to see me.
Facts.
Right?
Well, if you want to watch the video version, obviously the easiest way to do so is to check out the video on YouTube at youtube.com/SCSVince. But also you can check out the Spotify version, which will have the entirety of the podcast in full visual rendition. Like I mentioned at the top, we're going to be doing this all over again. We're going to be doing a Pokemon fantasy booking episode. And essentially what the show consists of is we're going to be fantasy booking us as Pokemon trainers in the Pokemon world, building our ideal team of 6 to challenge this fictional Pokemon league, this fictional Pokemon region that Matt and I both concocted back in episode 4, where we had wrestlers as Pokemon gym leaders. And we're going to continue that trend with this episode.
So real quick.
Yes.
Because it's not on there, but I had this idea in my head because I was looking right here. So first off, I'm big on full transparency, ladies and gentlemen. When we started this, Vince was like, we're going to kayfabe it and pretend like we didn't do this before. I can't do that because, listen, what happened was no fault of Vince's own, right? However, it is very convenient that every time I do a podcast with Vince and he gets his ass kicked, even if it's not a competition, that podcast mysteriously just disappears.
Listen.
And we got to do it over again. It happened with a draft with me and Katie. Now it happened here. Me and Will ran roughshod on him last time. You're never going to hear it because it's gone. But nothing was able to change, right? Like, it's all going to be the same thing. So we're still going to whoop that ass. It's not a competition, but we're still whooping that ass, right?
Whoop that trick.
Wait a second.
Yes.
What is that beautiful creature of God's name?
Oh, well, this
is I was talking about earlier. When you
this is our new cat, Maxie, or Maxima, for full government name. We
like
just
yeah. First name Nissan, last name Maxima.
First name Nissan, last name Maxima. Oh my god, I love you, Will. We recently got her. She's probably been like 2-3 weeks with us now. No, 3 weeks with us now. And she's like my favorite person that isn't a person.
You need to get yourself a Sprigatito and name it Maxima or Nissan Maxima.
Yeah.
You know what? There you go. But that was Maxie. Checking that out, Yes.
What Matt? The thing I was gonna say, which I never got to. One, you couldn't have picked a better day to reshoot because if you're a Pokemon fan, I don't know when this is coming out, but we're shooting this on the day that all of the Paldean starters and Lechonk got dropped for you in Pokemon Go, so you can go get your Sprigatitos and your Fuecocos and your Quaxleys, your Lechonk. I already got an Oinkologne. I think it's Oinkologne. And then Fuecoco second evolution and Sprigatito second evolution. Quaxley's a little harder to find, but they're out there. But one thing that we did that you're going to find out that you're going to see is we took wrestlers, right? Because Travis, Vince, and I, we booked like an entire region in Mexico full of professional wrestlers with their Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some of that today. We got some of that.
So we'll jump start that, and to answer the question, this will be out the weekend of the 9th.
Oh, that question. Okay. I thought you were going to move on and start talking about I wasn't done. Bray Wyatt, because rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. I love him. had ideas, right, for what his Pokemon team would be. First off, you got Huskus, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go with Paldean Oinkologne. Like,
okay.
Right?
We could also go with Embor.
Or Embor.
Yes.
But that's more of a fire type, and
you're going for it. You're
you
okay.
know,
All right.
but like, yeah, he's a pig. You got Mercy the Buzzard, which obviously Manda Buzz, easy.
Yes.
You've got Abby the Witch, Miss Magius. I feel like.
Ooh, I like that one. Yes.
Ramblin' Rabbit. We could do Diggersby.
Diggersby. I like that one as well.
Yeah. And then for the Fiend, Mr. Mime.
Ooh. Mr. Rhyme.
Or Mimikyu.
Mimikyu is a good one. Mimikyu is a great Pokemon for Funhouse.
So what's that? We got
5.
So we need one more. One more for Bray.
Ash Ketchum.
No.
Pokemon.
For the Lantern, we could do Chandelier.
Ooh.
Chandelure?
Yeah. Chandelure. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just put Bray Wyatt's fucking fantasy team here on the fly, baby.
Okay. We'll make a graphic for that, and we'll share. I'll share that with you. So we'll get started with our personal teams. Like I said, this is Pokemon Fantasy Booking, and we're just going to be going down that rabbit hole. We'll start off with Will. Will, this is your Pokemon Trainer card. I want to just shout out to Benji for creating the arts for all our characters here. He drew us in the Pokemon art style. He gave you your trademark baseball hat and your scarf that you're currently wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is so cool. I've never seen this before.
I know,
you did a
right?
Great job, Benji.
Yeah, Benji.
Fantastic. He looks kind of like one of those like mountain climbers, like you see like spawning in like trails.
In those clothes, he's mounting and climbing. That is for sure.
Mounting and climbing lots of things.
So, as you can see during it, like the badges, we gave you all the Rivet City Radio television show badges, podcast
bottle
shows.
Caps.
The bottle caps there. And that's a little reference to James from the Pokemon anime because he used to love collecting bottle caps. So there's also that connection as well.
I just thought it was because Will couldn't get Pokemon badges and couldn't defeat Jim, so he just made his own at home.
Oh, that too.
Exactly what happened.
that too. So
a little DIY.
Yeah.
So we'll take us through your personal Pokemon trainer team here.
This is incredibly personal to me because when I made this list, I sat down and I went through my personal Pokedex and I said, this sucks. I'm going to have Matt put together a team for me. So
we did it together.
We did it together. Ultimately, we ended up with 3 of my picks, and Matt took 3 of my picks and turned them into cooler versions or updated versions of my picks.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 1, and he's my favorite Pokemon of all time, and that's Alakazam.
Yes.
The Mega Evolved version of him because I like, the psyops, playing a little like mind games. I say it all the time. I'm a retired fuckboy, like I like a little psychology in my game. That also being said, Fire Charizard. He's the standard. He was my go-to starter. Charmander was my first Pokemon I ever remember picking in Pokemon Red on the original Game Boy. I'm old. So having Charizard was the pick.
Right.
Steelix, Onyx was my pick. Matt pushed me towards Steelix because they added the evolution later.
Yes.
Mostly what I tried to do was I thought, okay, a good psychic Pokemon that also has ground attacks, a fire Pokemon, and then my steel with Steelix. Okay, so the next 3 are where it kind of starts getting into the Matt helped me a lot range.
Right.
Okay. I had Hitmonlee.
Right.
The fighting style, I wanted something that could get in there. I thought maybe kind of like the fighting, wrestling, martial arts side of thing. I really liked that. So he gave me Lucario. So I was like, okay, that still gives me my good strong attacks and everything. Luxray was one I didn't know. Okay. But Luxray, I'm pretty sure, replaced my Umbreon, and we talked about it because it gives me another electrical Pokemon. It gives me a stronger version than just taking an Umbreon, because we all know Umbreon's weak as shit.
It actually isn't.
So, and then underneath Luxray, we've got Well Guy.
Kyogre.
We've got Well Guy. He's my he's my
Water
he's my
type.
ancient Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. What was your original?
Mewtwo.
Oh, you should just kept Mewtwo.
So he picked Well Guy because I needed a water type, and he's big and fishy,
And your favorite color.
and he's blue.
Yeah,
So-
I think that was the thought process behind Matt picking him for you.
Yes and no. So me and Will were breaking these down. He's like, here's my list, right? And he's like, these two I'm really set on. The rest I want something more updated. I don't want to just go with the original 151. So help me out here. So we kept Alakazam, and I'm like, hey, you got the Mega Evolve form because you can get one Mega Evolution. You can Gigantamax Charizard. It'll be cool as shit. So we did that, right?
Right.
And then, like I said, he wanted a fighting type. Hitmonlee, not the strongest fighting type, but Lucario is a very popular Pokemon. It's got Aura Sphere and a bunch of cool shit, as well as being a steel type as well.
Yeah.
So we did that. He wanted Onyx. Onyx has an evolution, so that was a no-brainer, and it looked cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
We went with Shiny Luxray because it still has the color scheme of Umbreon,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an electric type, which was kind of something severely lacking from his lineup as far as weaknesses to flying types and stuff like that.
Some
Water types.
coverages in general.
Yeah.
Right,
And then same thing with Kyogre. Like he wanted a legendary. So I was like, all right, Kyogre's a legendary. You got the primal form. It's your favorite color. And again, coverage. It gets you that water type for, any kind of rock or fire that you might come across. Should we get into that?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So overall,
Primal
solid
Kyogre.
Primal
Primal
Kyogre. Yes. And you're allowed to have the primal version because you can have like multiple primals and it doesn't have a mega stone attached to it. So we'll move on to Matt's team. And Matt, you have two different graphics actually. You have a little bit more of a PG version. He gave you like the Jason mask. He also gave you Michael Myers tattoo. So he gave you like your cutoff shirt and your basketball shorts and the black Air Force energy that you desperately want. But
Have come with, bring all the time.
do you currently own a pair of black Air Forces?
It's the energy, not the shoes, Vince.
Okay, well, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Perfect.
I carry big black Chuck Taylor energy.
So this is the less tame version. So there's a little bit more blood splatter over there, which I think you liked a little bit more. So
what I liked was when you made my beard brown and then you didn't update the slide after we did this whole thing.
I didn't update it because the slides were already made.
I mean, the only part of my beard that is blonde is the part that gets the pussy juice on it because it bleached it a little bit. But other than that, it's all brown.
Just tell your own mental story, and that's exactly why your beard
It'll start turning white eventually, Matt.
Yeah, I know that, dude. It does that. You eat enough pussy.
Yeah. So take us through your team, Matt.
We'll talk about my badges.
All right. Well, the badges, I asked you what badges you wanted, and you said all of them. And I said, well, I only have 8 slots for this. So in that case, you said, okay, well, just give me the Johto ones since I'm going to be starting with a Houndoom. That's going to be my starter. I'll be a Johto like trainer and then just kind of go from there. So that's why I gave you those badges.
My hometown's Creation World.
Yeah.
You can follow me there. You got, the little graphics, the little Funko Pops from my 2 podcasts. And it's a beautiful thing. Benji did a great job, except not knowing what fucking color my beard is. But we love Benji. He did do a great job. I'm covered in blood, and I wanted all the badges because that's what would happen with this team is I'd run through every fucking Pokemon League and brutally leave their gym leaders with broken Pokemon that Nurse Joy couldn't fucking fix because it's a team of fucking beasts over here, ladies and gentlemen. As he said, Houndour is going to be my first Pokemon. I know it's not a traditional starter. I don't give a fuck. Houndour is cool as shit. Yeah. If you see anything from me, you see the horror. You see the Jason mask, the Michael Myers tattoo. everything that you may or may not see behind me going on because I turned the light off so you can see the cool blue flashing light back there.
Very ominous.
Horror and wrestling. Those are my two things. And I wanted a Smash Mouth team. So not only did we go with Houndoom, but we went with Mega Houndoom because it's my boy. It's who I travel with. I got to get him at his highest level, right?
Yeah.
Houndoom. And then I'm a picky bitch, right? I'm not just going to go get regular Pokemon because I've been playing this shit too long and I'm bored of regular Pokemon. So I went out and I got all the coolest looking fucking shiny Pokemon that are my favorite Pokemon.
Right.
We got Greninja. I love Black Ninja fucking Greninja. Like, he reminds me of if you guys have ever played Samurai Warriors, Hattori Hanzo or Hanzo Hattori, depending on how you say it. Or from Ninja Gaiden, like, that look, he has that. It's badass. He's in the shadows. He's throwing water shuriken and fucking chopping Pokemon's heads off, coming at you from out of nowhere. Like, dope as shit. Charmander was always my first Pokemon, will always be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, especially because I helped Will out, and he also went with Charmander, but also Shiny Charizard looks way cooler than regular Charizard. I also opted for the Gigantamax Charizard, but shiny form, because again, love the dark aesthetic. Giratina. Giratina is basically the devil.
Yeah.
If Arceus is God, Giratina is essentially the devil.
Mhm.
I wanted a really cool legendary. What better to come with me, especially because it's the coolest looking in its fucking shiny form, personally. Like,
Yeah.
color aesthetic and everything. What better to bring with me than Satan as I'm ruining all of these gyms and Elite Fours? I'm a dog person, obviously, from Houndoom as well, but Lycanroc. As a horror movie fan, a Lycan is a werewolf. This is the coolest form of Lycanroc, in my opinion.
Dusk form, right?
It's the dusk form. So you got the midnight form, and you got the whatever the day form
Midday
is.
form.
Midday form. But this is that cool one that's kind of in between. It's that special Pokemon. You got to get the right personality to evolve it to get this. You have to have it. And also, again, in that shiny form, looks dope as shit.
It does.
And then last but not least, probably my favorite new Pokemon from Paldea is the final evolution of Primeape and Mankey's line, Annihilate. The name in and of itself is dope as fuck.
Yeah.
But then look at that fucking thing. It looks like Will with the beard and the wild hair, but with giant fists like me and a huge cock. And that's what we go in there with, our huge cock, giant fist, crazy beard, and wild hair, and we smash everybody. Plus, you look at the typings, you've got Dark and Fire, you've got Dark and Water, you've got the Ghost Dragon, you've got the Fire flying type, you've got your ground type, rock type with Lycanroc.
I think it's just only rock.
Is it just rock?
It's just rock. It's a pure rock type.
To be fair, most rock types can do ground type moves regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And then Annihilate, you've got is it Dark
Ghost?
or Ghost
It's
fighting?
Ghost.
Yeah,
it's
Ghost fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm fucking everybody up. You're not touching me. Period.
Well,
what you're saying is the DB Bros are untouchable both in life and in Pokemon.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, also too, what I do like about Annihilate being on your team is that like the braces, the bracelets or whatever, the cuffs that it has on its wrist are similar to the ones that Benji drew on you. And I like to reiterate the fact that Matt had no idea that Benji was making this art for him, and neither did Matt knew that, or Benji knew that Matt was going to be picking Annihilate. So it just happened to work aesthetically.
You know where we got those cuffs from?
I don't know, but this is in Creation World. No, this
it doesn't matter if it's Creation World or not. That's where the fuck we got them from.
I suppose. Let's move on to my team though, so we can get to the Elite Four. And this is my trainer card. Obviously, gotta have the little like Mexican colors in there with the red and the green, given that our Independence Day is coming up next weekend. So gotta represent. You know, purple is my favorite color, so that's why I made the trainer card that color. Hometown is 606 City. Well, may or may not be spoilers for things coming up ahead. And the badges, I kind of went with like a few Johto badges. I obviously went with like the badge from the Whitney gym, from the Ghost type gym, because I thought those were the most creative like mini games in gyms. Obviously, Claire with the dragon, and then you go with a few of the Kanto gyms and a few others that I just like liked what they did with the mini games. That's my favorite thing about gym battles is being able to like go and try to figure out the little mini puzzles. And I just didn't really like the ones that are just like straight to facing like trainer, gym leader. I liked figuring out puzzles in the gyms. I don't know about you guys.
I love you, Vince. Look at that. Benji even gave you a little homage to your love for me by putting you in an Italian flag jacket. It's beautiful.
Anyways, to start off with my team, you guys mentioned that your first starter or your first Pokemon in general was Charmander. You went with the fire starter. I also went with the fire starter, but I went with the Johto starter because my first game was Pokemon Crystal Generation 2 for the Game Boy Advance. So Cyndaquil was always my first Pokemon. I will always love it. Final Evolution being Typhlosion, I thought it was so cool. I don't think it has enough representation in the anime at all. It did get love with a brand new Hisuian form back in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I thought was really cool, and I considered using his Hisuian form. However, I just have a love for the original for the Johto version, so I kept that in there. Keeping with the Johto line, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, if not my favorite Pokemon of all time, is Umbreon. And despite what Will may
You say
slander,
that weak ass Pokemon?
Weak ass Pokemon.
Umbreon in the games and in just in general, it's one of the most bulkiest Pokemon that there is. Can take a lot of hits, and it's going to be my tank in the team. It's going to be able to regenerate itself. It's going to be able to deal blows. So it can learn a multitude of moves. It can learn like Shadow Ball to take care of some psychic types, but it could also learn Toxic to get rid of some pesky fairy types and others. So this is going to be the staller guy when I need to replenish and just kind of like drag things out a little bit. Moving on over to the Alola region is probably my second favorite iteration of Pokemon aside from Johto because it was just a unique, different take. It was just like Pokemon Hawaii, and I fucking love it. The starter there was Rowlet. It was a grass owl. I love owls. I love Harry Potter. I love Green Arrow. I love the whole Archer stuff. So if you really look at the Decidueye here, it has a lot of mix of like the Harry Potter glasses, but it also has like the owl from Harry Potter, but also like just owls are cool in general. And then you have the Green Arrow inspiration because it is an archer of infamy, if you will. Uh,
Will.
little little
Will
judgment
you
day.
will?
Little will.
but yeah, I just love the Decidueye. It was the first time I ever actually named a Pokemon too. I called it Rowlet in on no, not Rowlet, Hedwig, in honor of Harry Potter's owl in the Harry Potter franchise. Moving down, I have Metagross because I just thought it was such an awesome Pokemon. It's just a giant fucking robotic tank with a giant golden X in the middle. It's a psychic steel type, so it has a lot of good solid coverage. And it just kind of brings me back to like my old straight edge days, the big X in the middle. So it just kind of all correlates and stuff.
My old straight edge days.
Bottom right here we have Ampharos, and I got the mega version because the mega version gives it the dual typing of electric dragon, which isn't a common typing there is. So having the dragon typing there does help because, as we know, dragon type is one of the most overpowered typings in the Pokemon world. And just look at that majestic long mane of hair of his. So I love that for him, and I love that for my team. And finally, to round things up, we have my shiny Poliwrath because this is the very first shiny I ever caught, and it was completely by accident because I am a weirdo that wanted to have a Poliwhirl on my team, but I wanted to have a male Poliwhirl because I knew I wanted a Poliwrath. And as you can see by the picture, it looks very masculine in its design, so I wanted to get a male one. And to evolve it from a Poliwag to a Poliwhirl, I had to get it to level 25. So all the male Poliwags that I kept getting were like around 13, 15, 17 was the highest. All the 20, 21, 22 level Poliwags were all female. So I kept camping in that little like pond lake in like the ghost town where the burnt tower is with all the legendary dogs like Raiko, Entei, Suicune that were re-christened. I was in that little pond, and eventually I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna catch this male Poliwag. And long and behold, it was a shiny, and I couldn't really tell because if you know the shiny palette, it's just a slightly brighter version of like the blue that it already currently has. So I had no idea what it was. I just started noticing there was a star sparkling every single time I would send it out to battle. And eventually I just kind of like put the piece together. I'm like, oh my god, I caught a shiny Pokemon completely by accident. So this is my Pokemon team. These are all Pokemon. Unlike you guys that decided to go with legendaries and mega versions and Gigantamax versions, and let me change my team so that it's more up to date and stuff. I went with a team that I genuinely love. But if I did have to,
I went with a team that I generally love.
I went with a team that would wax Umbreon's ass.
Listen, you have a lot of hate for a man that wanted to have Umbreon on his team originally.
Yeah, but I decided not to because Electro is obviously the superior dog type Pokemon.
Okay. Anyways, but if I did have to swap one out, I would swap out my shiny Poliwrath for Suicune because that's my favorite legendary Pokemon there is. Obviously, it was the cover Pokemon for the very first Pokemon game I've had. Yes.
What's your favorite water starter?
It's Blastoise.
Bummer.
Why?
I was really hoping you were going to say Oshawott.
Oh no, I don't like
because your other two picks both have Hisuian forms.
Yes.
That you opted not to pick. So I was really hoping Samurott would be your favorite water type, and I'd be like, oh, look at you.
You know what? No, actually, so my favorite water type is actually Greninja, but because I knew you were picking Greninja, I didn't add it to my team.
Yeah, you stay the fuck off my Pokemon.
Wow, that's awful aggressive, Mateo.
It is. It is. Why don't we save that aggression?
I'm covered in blood.
Why don't we save that aggression for the elites for
Umbreon blood? That was all Umbreon blood, by the way. Annihilate just smashed him.
We're gonna transition now before I have to mute Matt from the episode because he doesn't let me transition. So let's move on to what this elite.
Matt won't let you transition. We need to.
Listen. I have never stopped anyone from transitioning. Vince, if you want to transition, you transition, and I will support you 100%.
Let's transition.
I support everything, Vince. I'm glad you decided to let me and Matt know.
Oh man. So guys, we're gonna be doing the Elite Four, and obviously the first obstacle in the Elite Four is the former member of the Elite, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And I didn't completely build this team by myself.
As I approach this glory hole, remind myself I'm Cody Rhodes.
Matt, you helped build this team as well. So why don't you take us through some of the selections you made from this team?
Obviously, Cody Rhodes is the American Nightmare, which is fairly easy to go with bravery. It's the most American Pokemon that's out there, period, hands down.
Yeah.
As far as the Nightmare portion of it, but also in honor of Stardust, we went with Lunala. Because I mean, fucking look at it. Like it's the cosmic Pokemon. It's the nighttime, the night in the sun and moon, legendary. So we have that. And then Vince and I debated vigorously, but obviously for the red, white, and blue colors, we came down with Zezamenta as his dog type to be a surrogate for his actual dog. That he takes everywhere with him. And I think those were the three that I picked.
Yeah, so I like to elaborate too because I do like Braviary being a selection as well. I was thinking about doing Hisuian Braviary, but I like more the regular Braviary version.
Way more Homelander.
Yeah, way more Homelander. And also, like there's a lot of bravery inside of Cody Rhodes. So
I mean, regardless of if you went with Hisuian Braviary or Braviary, it's still brave.
There's a lot of bravery in Cody Rhodes. But yeah, Lunala 2, the original version, the first evolution Cosmog is actually Stardust from a dying star. So it actually has a lot of deep cut Stardust connections there. I I do like Mega Gengar being here because that's the nightmare part of the American Nightmare. You know, one of his famous attacks is Nightmare. You know, but also the Mega version has like this little like circle thing in his like forehead, just like Stardust used to have. He used to have like the
Third
little
eye.
studs. Yeah, the third, not necessarily third eyes, but yeah. So
I mean,
that's why.
that's Gengar's third eye.
Yeah.
I have 3 legs. He has 3 eyes.
Well, those are the four that you for sure helped here, and there were two empty slots, and I ended up going right here with Beware. And for those of you that may not have followed Cody Rhodes' career prior to All Elite Wrestling or WWE, back when he was doing the Elite stuff and during like the whole campaign trail for All In, the very first All In back in 2019, he had two bears. He had Burry the bear, that was just like kind of like his mascot that would follow him around. But then he also got another one called Bernard the Business Bear. And it was just like a thing for some odd reason. He had these two giant bears. It was so entertaining. It was such a great time in wrestling, indie wrestling, to be honest with you. There were characters in of themselves. The love you like us basketball fans have for Benny the Bull as a mascot, for instance, that's the kind of energy that Bernard the Business Bear and Burry the Bear brought to the wrestling ring. So obviously, Beware is probably like the most giant, most mascot friendly bear there is in the Pokemon world. So that's why I picked it. And help me out here. What was the name again? I'm trying to blank on the last one.
Tinkaton.
Tinkaton. I chose because that's obviously his daughter playing with the giant hammer that he broke the throne with at Double or Nothing when he broke Triple H's throat. So I thought that was just kind of funny. Like just grab the hammer, that's his daughter, all perfect connection. And plus Fairy Steel type is a very powerful typing as well. Not too many weaknesses there. But yeah,
The first.
overall,
Sorry.
yeah. No,
I
no,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say the first time I recorded this was the first I learned that Cody Rhodes had two bear mascots, and I'm not any more impressed now than I was when you told me that the first time.
It was a time to be alive for sure.
It was
But yeah,
not.
what are your thoughts on the team? Will, what are your thoughts on the overall final team, Matt? You know, just like how would we fare? Our teams fare against this Cody lineup. You know,
My weakest opinion, being the least Pokemon savvy of the three of us, I would say that you could probably wax the floor with this team. Like, I don't think you would have very much trouble with it.
so Braviary you can knock out with either rock type or electric type.
Yeah,
Which
Steelix would be, in my opinion, Steelix would knock out the three with legs pretty simply. I wouldn't have to send out Alakazam or Charizard to knock those three out.
well, not necessarily. Let's see here.
And then I
Uh,
think for the three that are flying, I would
mhm.
use my Steelix and I would use my Charizard to go after them.
All right. Let's see. Well, Zamazenta is weak to psychic, flying, and fairy types only. So you would need your Alakazam to take
Okay.
out his legendary dog. Beware is a fighting type, fighting normal type, if I'm not mistaken. So again, your Alakazam would knock it out. You have Gengar there, but what was his team again? I think he can easily knock that out as well. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Like his Mega Gengar might be the biggest obstacle there. You know, you have Tickenton there. However, your Charizard could knock it out. Then Lunala is Psychic Ghost type, so that could be a little troubling. I don't know. What are your
Luxray
thoughts,
learns
man?
Crunch, so he would have a Dark type move for Mega
Yeah, that's true.
Gengar.
Yeah, that's true. You can use Crunch for the Mega Gengar. Honestly, yeah, like aside from like his Zamenta, Zamazenta and his Tickenton, those are like the big ones. Maybe even Lunala.
Isn't
He-
Tinkaton Steel Fairy?
yeah. But
Okay, so
again,
Charizard's wrecking Steel.
yeah,
Braviary's going down to the electric attacks from Luxray.
yeah,
Um, between everything else he has, something will take down Mega Gengar. Mega Gengar's not wrecking Primal Kyogre and Luxray with Crunch. And I actually, because
I like Zam's gonna knock out the Beware and his Zamazenta. So
yep,
maybe Lunala might be the one that he'd have the most issue with, but Crunch could really definitely help if he adds that to his Luxray. Matt, like, looking at your team though, like where are your thoughts there?
what do you mean? Where are my thoughts? My thoughts are where they always are. Smash. I'm just
Okay,
gonna send
okay.
Annihilate in there, and he's gonna fuck everybody up.
Wow.
I won't
Confident?
even need to switch anyone else out. Level 100 Annihilate, just smashing with giant fists and fucking everything up.
Oh, okay.
Just fucking everything.
No, Charizard obviously will take out Tinkaton,
Mhm.
as we talked about. Also, Charizard has flying moves, so that takes care of Zamazenta, no problem. I've got the Rock type in the Celerock for Braviary, so no issues there.
Yeah.
I've got my Ghost Dragon type, which will definitely take care of Lunala, no problem.
Mhm.
In Giratina. Um, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Annihilate will take out Beware. And Mega Gengar, same thing. I got a fucking Dark type in my starter. Mega fucking
You have
Houndoom.
two dark types actually.
Yeah. To take down Mega Gengar. No issue.
Yeah. So personally,
I'm running
for me,
through Cody like I'm Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39.
Jesus.
So it's going to take you 45 minutes to cheat to win?
100%.
All right, so well let me go down. Pokemon by
Let me,
Pokemon.
he said it. He said it. Let me go down. You heard it, Matt.
You never have to ask Vince. You could just go
Never
down.
once. Just do it. Free reign.
So Braviary, I could easily take out with my Ampharos.
Especially after transition.
Mega Gengar, I can take out with my Umbreon. You have Tinkaton, which I can take out with Typhlosion. Beware, I can take out with Metagross, or actually even Decidueye because it's a ghost type, so it won't actually be affected by any of its moves. And Zamazenta and Lunala, I could probably do with like a combination of Umbreon, Decidueye, or Metagross. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think I'd use my Poliwrath all that much in this battle, just because I don't think he has a type advantage almost anywhere. I think it's either neutral or non-existence. So
Kind of
let's
like
move on.
Umbreon's power.
Yeah. So then there's also like the shiny version of his team, which he could use shiny Lunala and shiny Mega Gengar, which I think is very cool. So
And also red and white for red, white, and blue.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the second one, which would be the Young Bucks. And this is actually going to be a doubles battle type theme here. And the team I chose here, obviously, Latios and Latias, because they're the Young Bucks. They're like the brother and sister duo in the Pokemon world. They're the highest ranking ones there. You
So
look
which
at
one? Which of the Young Bucks is the brother and which is the sister? I'm gonna say Nick's the sister.
Yeah, I was gonna say
100%
Nick's the
Nick's the
sister. Yeah,
sister.
Nick's definitely the sister. So then you go over to Hitmonlee and Hitmontop because Super Kick Party. The kicking Pokemon is Hitmonlee, and then Hitmontop is also all about kicking, except he's always on his head. But also they're brothers in their evolutionary line, evolving from Tyrogue. So I thought that was apropos there. We went with Sawsbuck, and I went specifically with the winter form because it looks like it has little tassels on its feet, just like the Young Bucks used to have. And the last one, Weird Deer, that was Matt's idea because we were just looking at deer and bucks once. But
I was
also,
gonna say to be fair,
yes,
when Vince and I sat down after we come up with the team, I was like, you could just use all deer Pokemon because they're the Young Bucks. And he's like, oh shit. And then we added Sawsbuck, and he picked the one with the stupid tassels on the feet, like their stupid tassels on their boots, and Weird Air.
Yeah,
it looks like Papa Buck.
Yeah, in honor of Papa Buck.
I don't know why we're honoring him, but
Well, they would
Yeah.
say
Mhm.
in honor, that's to represent Papa Buck. Well, Papa Buck did create a lot of the theme songs that they use for being the elite and their current theme song, I believe.
So he's to
So
blame for all of it.
sure, well, he is because he inseminated their mother, and
Are we sure
now
about
they
that? Do we know
someone
who
did,
sinned?
someone did.
Somebody did.
But yeah, you look at the team they have here, and honestly, it's not that hard to get rid of, to combat. Will could probably get rid of like half the team with just his mega Alakazam. Just
Facts.
yeah. And then everything else, honestly, between your Primal Kyogre, your Gigantamax Charizard, even Lucario can come in there and just are probably a better version of the Hitmonlee and Hitmontop fighting types. So you got that going for you.
Luxray taking out his Latios and Latias, whether
Yeah.
it's with the electric attack for the dragon types or crunch again.
Facts. I say, like,
Well,
me and Matt together could take out the DP Bros would take out Anime DX without trying.
Latios and Latias are psychic dragons. So to take that out, yeah, you would need the crunch from Luxray, but aside from that, like that's the only thing. The electric
Dragon
isn't.
types are generally weak to electric and
They're not.
ice types.
No, they're weak to fairy and ice and other dragons. You can look that up in case you need to.
I swear they
Science.
were weak to electric types too.
No,
Just
they're
like
not.
look
They're
it
not.
up.
You can look it up though. But yeah, then I go through my team right there, and obviously Umbreon can easily take out Latios and Latias. You have Decidueye that would be a problem for Hitmonlee and Hitmontop, given that it's ghost type. None of its attacks would actually hit. But I also have Metagross that could use some psychic attacks to take them out. Sawsbuck and Weird Deer, I'm not really worried too much about. Like any combination of my team could probably knock them out. This team is probably easier than the Cody team. The only thing that this has is that it has the gimmick of doing doubles battle. So you have to watch out. So like let's say you surf or whatever, you're gonna hit your partner Pokemon as well. So you're gonna have to really strategize who you're gonna throw out in pairs,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll move on. I
Oh,
did what?
we're not going to talk about how I was going to take them out. We're just going to
Oh,
ignore
I
me.
thought we already did that. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
I thought you were just gonna
So-
be like annihilate level 100, just fist.
Oh no,
everyone.
Annihilate, and Houndoom are going to sit this one out. The rest of my team is going to just fuck their team up with Gratania with the dragon types, taking out both of their dragons, no issues,
Mhm.
good to go. My other Pokemon, Charizard, going in there wrecking shit. We got the Sawsbuck, the winter form, all that. Like, just the reason Houndoom and Annihilate are gonna sit this one out is because while Matt Jackson is running a victory lap, Annihilate is gonna come in with clobbering time and punch him right in his fucking face, put him on his ass.
Well,
And when Nick Jackson tries to help, Houndoom's gonna bite him.
here's what I would say: annihilate would be a good option to take on Hitmonlee and Hitmontop, given that it's a ghost type, so none of its attack would actually connect.
Listen, it's the Young Bucks. They haven't trained these Pokemon properly. They don't know how to sell. So I'm not worried about using typing advantage here. They're just going to get wrecked. And Annihilate has to punch Matt in the face for his shit. And then because all out brawl outs and shit, Matt Jackson's going to get bit by a dog because Kenny's not here yet. We'll bite Kenny later.
Wow.
Wow. Let's move on. So I did create, like, we'll talk about it briefly, like singles team. So like there's Latias, there's Hitmonlee, there's Sawsbuck. I believe that's summer form because
Fall.
fall form, correct. Plusum, and then obviously Weird Deer for Papa Buck still. But then we also have Electivire, and I got the amp form because it just kind of looks like the pose that he's doing right now. So there was that. The version for Nick is very similar. You have Latios, you have Hitmontop, you have Sawsbuck. I let him keep the winter form with the tassels, and then you have Minum in there. Weird Deer is there as well for Papa Buck, and then Electivire as well. But what was the other version? I forget what the other version is. I'm trying to blank on it right now.
The
Do you have?
relaxed form.
Yeah. Let me see here.
It's the relaxed form. It's relaxed and amped forms.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. So we'll move on to the next one.
And
The
it
next
also looks like it's doing his pose.
that as well. So
That's
we'll
why Vince
move on.
picked it.
We'll move on to the next elite four member, and this is one that I actually really like. But Matt actually constructed the entirety of the team except
Except for
for
one.
one. But then again, you kind of did because the original version had it in there. So we have Hangman Adam Page here. So I'll let Matt go on go ahead and let us know why he picked certain of
I
these.
mean, it's not really hard to figure it out. He's a cowboy, so we went with horses, all horses. Now, mind you, uh, due to his affiliations and
Doo-doo.
support of the LGBTQ community, I wanted to give him the fairy type of Rapidash, but we already used that for the New Day, and Vince didn't want to double down. So we went with the fire type, and he's still got a unicorn horn, so it still kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's still got that giant dick on his forehead. We've got Glastrier and Spectrier. Obviously, the two horses from the DLC
Yes.
of Sword and Shield.
Yes.
We've got Paldean Tauros because Black Tauros looks way cooler than regular Tauros. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, bucking Broncos and rodeos and fucking bulls. We went with Mudsdale because it is the most traditional horse. And it's kind of got Hangman's hair and shit, and just kind of it looks like Hangman. And then Cowboys, Bramblegast, fucking, you know,
It's a tumbleweed, man.
it's tumbleweed.
It makes perfect sense. But also the thing that I wanted to do here that I thought was really cool. So there is 3 different Paldean versions of Paldean Tauros. So there's just the regular black version, which is just fighting type. But then there's this one that has like some red accents that's fire fighting. And then there's, of course, the other version, which is water fighting. And I thought it'd just be fun to have like a little gimmick where it'd be like completely randomized depending on when you fight him. You might go ahead and have the water fighting, fire fighting, or just straight up fighting version of his team. And it would just mostly just stay the same. So you could prepare and be like, okay, well, I have the water typing, but you also kind of have to just assume that maybe you'll get the fire fighting or you might get the water fighting. So I thought it was a nice way to like make him distinct from all the other Elite Four members.
And horses, because he's a fucking cowboy. Like, what else were we gonna do for him? But other than give him all of the fucking horses.
Exactly, for sure. So I mean, looking at the team here, like if you have a water type, you can probably take out like 2/3 of the team right there. If you have that Paldean Tauros that has the fire fighting typing, half of his team can be taken out with a water type. So
Bramblegast is a ghost grass type, right?
yes, it's the ghost grass type, so you can take that out with fire. But then also his other Pokemon is ice, so you can take that out if you have a fire type as well. And then if you have a dark type, you know, the ghost typing is kind of taken care of there as well.
Well, this is my easiest fight.
I 100% was about to say the same thing. I wouldn't even have to send out any of my big guys. I would send out Well Guy and Charizard, and they would mop the floor with them.
Kyogre is one of your big guys. It's the legendary that's on your team, and probably per tonnage the biggest guy on your fucking team. Will.
Yes, yes,
Well
exactly.
Guy.
No, sorry. Gigantamax Charizard is physically the largest guy on your team, but Kyogre is definitely one of your big guys.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. um, yeah,
Not to
man,
me.
I think you'd fare pretty well with this team. I don't think you'd
Fare
struggle
pretty
whatsoever.
well. Greninja would take out Rapidash and Mudsdale, no issue.
And depending on which Tauros, you take that one out as well.
I could take out every version of Tauros, no issues. Spectrier goes down to Houndoom. Glastrier goes down to Charizard, as well as Bramblegas or Houndoom. I might not even have to bring in Charizard. And then Annihilate, because of the fighting typing, will take out every version of Tauros. I don't have to worry about it. I don't even have to pull out Giratina.
Honestly, you could probably like 2-man this team with just your Greninja and your Houndoom because they both have the dual dark typing as well as fire and water, and the dark typing is going to help you with everything there. So yeah, this is pretty easy. As for me, I mean, I have water types, I have fire types. I think we've established that's really all you need, and I do have Umbreon. So
no, what good is he gonna do though? Is he just there for more emotional support?
Listen. For a man that wanted to originally have Umbreon on the team, I don't understand where all this hate is coming from.
Because I realized
Also,
how valuable Luxray is.
You didn't even know
fairly
who Luxray
certain,
was.
regardless of typing, Vince is losing this fight.
Against Hangman?
Yes.
How?
Because I'm gonna have a little chat with Hangman before you go in there. He's coming out with assless chaps. You're not gonna be able to call a fucking move out. You're gonna be so mesmerized. I'm gonna tell him just stand backwards and flex. You're not gonna be able to call out a move. Your Pokemon are gonna get fucked up. They're gonna be looking at you like, what the fuck's going on? You're just gonna be hypnotized by the glutes.
Hypnotized, no pun intended.
Chaps are assless, right, Matt?
All chaps are assless.
Not all chaps are made the same.
Not all chaps are assless. That's what makes them chaps.
No. Let's move on to the final Elite Four member here. We have Kenny Omega.
Boo.
You may boo, but you helped construct the majority of this team. So why don't you let us know why you picked some of the members on his team?
Obviously, Mega Absol is for the one-winged angel.
Yes.
Which is his finisher. And it looks all frilly like Kenny and his stupid hair. Went with Mr. Mime because in the anime, Mr. Mime cleans Ash's mom's house when she's not sexually abusing him. And Kenny is the cleaner. So, you know, I can see I'm pretty sure he's wrestled a broom or carried a broom out in his entrance because he's the cleaner.
He actually has, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mime carries
assumption.
a broom everywhere he goes. Quackaval, which is the Paldean water starter, is very flamboyant, which in my eyes represents Kenny. Also, it's got the kick, the water step kick, and Kenny does, you know, like all of his friends, a super kick and kicks and knees and shit like that.
Yeah.
But also has that Kenny's very Broadway when it, not like Broadway. I mean, he can do a Broadway, he can do a 60-minute match, but when it comes to presentation, not personality, he's very much Broadway, very overly dramatic in his facial expressions and everything. And Quackaval resembles all of that. Vince and I agreed on Blaziken just because it looks like Blaziken's doing a V trigger.
Yes. That's one of my favorite selections here.
I believe the other two were you, so.
Yes. So I gave him Lucario because obviously the V trigger, that's a callback to Street Fighter. And what's one of the most overused moves in Street Fighter is a Hadouken. And Lucario has the Aura Sphere that looks like a Hadouken. So I thought it just made all the sense in the world to include that Pokemon in there.
I mean, I think it looks like a Kamehameha, but
I think so too. But you know, like I'm just trying to find the connection there. Hadouken. And Kenny Omega's name, the Omega part came from like his love of Mega Man, and that's where he wanted that as a name. So you go ahead and get Shiny Gallade, and he probably looks so close to Mega Man. Mega Man would have him as his ace Pokemon if he was a Pokemon trainer. So I thought it made all the sense in the world.
Kenny loves a good ace.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the team we decided here. And obviously Gallade is psychic fighting. You have fighting steel with Lucario. You have fighting fire. You have dark type with help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. I'm having Absol, thank you. You have the psychic fairy typing, which that's a new typing for Mr. Mime. And then it's water fighting, the Paldean water starter. So he has 4 fighting type Pokemon. So if you have a psychic type, you can really give him a hard time, which obviously Will does with Alakazam.
In my opinion, his ace bit off more than it can chew with me. Whether it's my ghost types or my dark type, Gallade's getting fucked up. So Greninja's taking out Blaziken, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see anyone on this team that I'm going to have a problem with. Because again, with the fighting types,
Mr. Mime could pose a challenge given that he's psychic.
He's a normal type. I've got a fighting type.
No, he isn't a normal type. I just said he's a psychic fairy type, and even though you have a dark
They changed
type,
that.
huh?
Did they change that?
They changed that. What? No, yeah, they been changed that ever since they introduced the fairy type in Gen 6.
Yeah, but
So
he's old school, so he's got the old school normal type from the original games.
he never used to be normal. He used to be just psychic.
I think that my Luxray, my Alakazam, and I would say my Steelix could wax this whole team.
Your Steelix would struggle because it's steel type, and 4 out of the 6 Pokemon are fighting type, which can destroy rock steel type. So your Steelix should not be used in this one whatsoever. You'll get one shotted.
I'll wait and put him out last after Alakazam and Luxray wipe everybody out first.
I also have 2 ghost types, so that'll take care of Mr. Mime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that helps out. Okay. So as for my team though, I mean my Poliwrath can easily take out, Blaziken as well. I do have what I do have Decidueye, which is a ghost grass type, so that would definitely help the cause. I have Typhlosion, which will be helpful for Lucario because it is a steel type. I have Ampharos, which will take out how do you pronounce the water starter in Paldea?
Quackaball?
Quackaball. Yeah, so I'll take that out. I think the only one I'm really concerned about would be maybe Absol, but I do have Poliwrath, which is half fighting, so I can one shot him with a fighting type attack as well. So not too concerned about this team. The only one, I guess, like I said, would be Mr. Mime because he looks deceivingly like it's gonna be a tough matchup because of the typing with the fairy and psychic. Those are 2 really good
It's a
typings to have.
fucking Mr. Mime.
Underestimate, man.
100%.
You underestimate the heart of a champion, or so they say. Uh, let's move on to the champion of this Pokemon League, and I don't know if it'd be the toughest challenge, but I thought it'd be the.
Well, he used to be the champion. We're going to have to replace him because he recently got fired from the Elite Four.
Uh, he never lost the championship, so we're gonna have to beat him, and then we'll be the champion in the region. That is, of course, CM Phil Brooks Punk. And Matt, you helped out with some of this team as well. Let's go down the list of the Pokemon first, and then we'll go why we went with them. So we obviously have Mega Charizard X because X marks the spot, and Straight Edge.
That was Vince.
Yes, we have Staraptor in there because you added that one because you were looking for.
No. So when Vince and I had this discussion, the only Pokemon that I specifically recommended was Ceruledge because of the Straight Edge.
Yes, Ceruledge.
But we were trying to figure things out, and I said CM Punk is a big Blackhawks fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that Staraptor
its Japanese name does translate to hawk.
Yes, so that is why you picked that.
Yes. Also, so it's one of the most OP flying types in the entire Pokemon franchise.
That is correct.
Yes. Did you say correct or erect?
I said what I said. We went with Hypno because obviously his finisher is the go to sleep, and Hypno is the hypnosis Pokemon.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Before I even started, again, back with the X's and the Straight Edge and the pose and everything, Vince said off the bat, Obstagoon was going to be on the team.
He has the pose. He has the pose. He has the X on the shoulder. Like it's a perfect Punk Pokemon.
And then we tried really hard to figure out who should be his Larry, and Vince settled on Gramble.
Yeah, I settled on Gramble because I was trying to look at Larry, right? And then I saw he had these 2 giant bottom teeth just sticking out, made him look like a vampire. And I looked at all the dog Pokemon. We were looking at Stoutland because I thought it'd be funny, but I wanted to give him a different one that actually looked like Larry. So I went with Gramble because of the teeth. You kind of really see it. So we have alternate versions. So this would be his shiny team. So if you go with Hypno, he has the pink shiny coloring because he likes Bret Hart, and he has a lot of trunks that wear pink. Larry, Granbull with his shiny version looks a little bit closer to Larry's brown. And Matt suggested we go with the shiny Obstagoon because it has the blue and the red and white like the Chicago flag.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to suggest, I would keep everyone shiny minus Obstagoon because I think Obstagoon looks better as black.
Because you hate Chicago.
Viva Mexico. Um, but yeah, that's who we selected. So we have a Dragon Fire type with Charizard X. We have a normal Flying type with Staraptor. We have a Psychic type with Hypno. We have a Fairy type with Granbull. We have a Fire Ghost type, I believe, with Ceruledge. And then we have Dark Normal with Obstagoon. I'll go first this time because you guys have been going first, so I'll start off with my team and how they would fare. Obviously, Typhlosion would not really be too useful in this one. I could use, unfortunately,
Obviously, my Typhlosion would not do jack shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
not with this one because it doesn't really have a type
What if you had
advantage.
gone with Hisuian Typhlosion?
Could have, would have, should have, but I like Johto version. So my Umbreon is gonna be able to take out its Hypno. It's gonna be able to work that out. I have my Poliwrath, which will be able to take out his Obstagoon. I have Ampharos, who will take out his Staraptor. I have, let's see here, Fairy type might be an issue, but with Mega Charizard X, I can take it out also with Ampharos because it is a Dragon type, so Dragon versus Dragons cancel that out. The only one would be Granbull. I don't have a full on perfect solution for it, but I think I can manage, honestly, if I really sit here and like work on a strategy.
You know
Granbull is
how?
not that hard to defeat.
You know how?
How?
What you said in the beginning when you talked about your team. This is where your Umbreon comes in because it can learn Toxic and Fairy types are weak against Poison types.
There you go. There you go. You're right. You're right on that one.
Nailed it.
Yeah. What
The whole
about?
reason that weak ass Umbreon's even on your team is to counteract Fairy types.
I'm gonna need y'all to stop hitting on Umbreon. I'm about to kick both of you guys off this podcast and finish the episode without y'all if you keep this slander. Matt, talk us through your team.
I'm actually the one that doesn't really have a solution for Granbull because I don't have a Steel or a Poison type. However, Greninja as well as Giratina would easily handle both Ceruledge and Charizard. We got the normal typing in Staraptor. I've got Annihilate, which is the fighting type, so that's no issue. I've got multiple dark types to handle Hypno.
Yes.
What did you say Obstagoon was?
He's normal dark type.
So again,
Normal dark
fighting
type.
types. We'll take care of that, no problem. And then Granbull, I'm just gonna hit him with everything I fucking got, and something will stick because the rest of them will get wiped out pretty quick.
Yeah. Also, now that I thought about it too, I forgot fairies were weak towards steel type, and I have Metagross, steel psychic type.
Mhm.
So as long as I can get a good solid like steel type attack on him, I think it should be solid. Let's between you and I, let's look at Will's team and see how he would fare.
I can tell you how I'd fare.
Terribly, I know.
I would use Luxray to take care of anything that flies. Okay? And then anything that hit the ground, I would have Lucario there ready to beat the shit out of them with the little horn fist things. Okay?
Lucario would completely decimate Obstagoon.
And Granbull because it's a steel type.
Granbull is not steel.
Granbull's weak to steel. Lucario's a steel type.
Yeah.
You're right. There you go. And then you have Staraptor, which would be weak towards his Luxray, so he's got that. But he could also use his Steelix as well because he could hit it with a steel rock type attack as well. His Kyogre can take out his Ceruledge and his Mega Charizard. So actually, Will would fare pretty.
I wouldn't even have to use Alakazam. Alakazam's just chilling in the back, smoking a blunt with Snoop Dogg.
He's chilling behind you, like cross, like Indian style, just meditating with all his mini spoons. That's how he'd handle everything. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think we'd all do very well, and that at some point we'd beat this Elite Four and be Pokemon League champions. Despite what the fuck y'all think about Umbreon.
I think you would do well with 5 of your 6. I'm not sure if Umbreon's the move.
I'm gonna move you. And let's move on to the last couple slides here. So I decided to like put all our teams together in the Pokemon graphic with our Pokemon anime characters that Benji made. So we're gonna start off with Will. Obviously, his ass is yes.
Giratina also learns Toxic, so that'll take care of Granbull, so I'm good.
There you go. You found modern problems require modern solutions, and you did so. Thanks to Google. You have your shiny Luxray up front. You have your Mega Alakazam right there next to your Lucario. You have your Steelix in the background. Charizard just flying across the horizon, and then Kyogre he's in the distance because I can't really fit a giant fucking
Whale?
primal Kyogre in the wild.
The well guy has the second largest penis in the Pokemon universe.
I want you can get a Kyogre in the games, and the next game that you get that has Kyogre, I need you to get him and name him Whale Guy.
Can I get him in Pokemon Go?
Yes.
Yeah,
If you do a raid, I think.
Okay.
I think they're raid exclusives.
they are.
If there is a Kyogre raid, let me know. I will help Will catch a Kyogre.
Just so I can call it Well Guy.
Yes. Let's move on to Matt's team, and I give him more of this dark forest type vibe. Give him more of a horror vibe to it. You have your Mega Houndoom there. You have your shiny Charizard. You have your shiny Giratina. Your shiny Lycanroc. Your shiny Greninja, and Annihilate. This is a really cool team.
That team fucks.
I would hope with protection and consent in
no.
mind.
Consent, yes. Protection, no.
You're gonna need protection after Matt's team's done with you. Look at all.
As a matter of fact, I'm naming Houndoom Raw Dog.
Raw Dog.
Okay, and then go down to my team. Obviously, you have Umbreon and Typhlosion front and center. You have my shiny Poliwrath, shiny Metagross flying above. You have the Decidueye soaring, and then you have my Mega Ampharos just very excited to be part of the team in the center there.
Looks like the team you would fight at the end of the tutorial.
Anyway, guys, those were our Pokemon teams. Those were our Elite Four gym leaders, trainers, whatever.
I'm gonna have to text you the Pokemon for Bray Wyatt again, aren't
I? Yes, you are, because I can't. I got too much going on right now. In the meantime, I do want to go ahead and thank everyone for listening to Side A of the Curtain Call. Stay tuned for Side B. We're going to be talking about NBA jerseys following this. And I just want to know, what would be your fictional fantasy booking Pokemon team? Who would be your team of 6? How would you fare against the Elite Four and the Pokemon League champion? Honestly, I think the hardest challenge there was probably either Hangman was not Hangman. Probably between Kenny or Cody out of all the teams that were created for the wrestlers. Let us know what you guys think.
The Young Bucks.
Let us know what you guys think of our teams, of your teams. Guys, plug your stuff. Let us know where they can find all your great content. Unless you're bashing Umbreon, in which case I will personally blackball you.
Go ahead, Will.
Thank you, Vince. As always, I love you. Muy mucho. If you're interested in finding my shenanigans elsewhere, you can check my link tree at The Will Gray. You'll find everything I do for Botch Bots and Share Shots, Rivet City Radio, Off the Top Media, Creation World, and World Championship Wreckage.
Matt.
You guys can find me on X at Getting Off for your horror content and at Matt Ritter, MATTRIDDER, for your wrestling content. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Smacking It Raw.
As for me, obviously, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SEAsVince. Link tree in my bio takes you to everything. Str8Talk, Get Your Podcast, Smacking It Raw. Leave the feed alone. Don't delete it. Go back and watch old episodes of Smacking Creation World. No, of Str8Talk. Sorry, it's been a long night. Keep the feed. This may be the last episode of Str8Talk, but still great content there. Keep the feed. You never know when I might drop something randomly, just in case, just for shits and giggles. I want to thank both Will and Matt for joining me on the curtain call. This has been fun, despite the slander for Umbreon. I will not be
I
bringing
honestly
them
think this
back
was more
on.
fun than the last one, and I tried to tell you that.
I will not be bringing them back on for the next Pokemon Talk if they slander Umbreon. For myself and Will, we thank you. Stay tuned for Side B.